Every new game is a beginning. It's always great at first. New characters, new adventures, new stories. Always so much excitement for the future. But sometimes it just goes wrong. Hey, I know why. You need this. But to understand why it works, you first need to know why your campaign's dying. A lot of my games are long-term games. The kind you started 12 months ago because you had a fun one-shot. Most of them never end. Not as in they don't have an ending, but as in they die. My players just stop showing up. One by one, life gets in the way. We never really talked, but slowly we just do something else. Someone else might run, we might play something else. Other times we just get bored of some part of the adventure. I was a player in the giant D&D campaign, and we just got bored of doing town after town, never really progressing the plot, never feeling like we were in control of what was happening. It never really felt like we got to play the game. Before we get into how to fix this, I just need to thank Triglav Games for sponsoring the video. This week they released a new preview for the Rocks Fall, the dynamic terrain arenas I've been really excited for. Instead of being a single object on the battle map, the entire battle map becomes the dynamic terrain object, and they're doing so much cool stuff with this. Take a look at this Fey Forest. Every player in the encounter gets this cool maneuver they get to do, and then each round, there is a terrain action. But unlike villain actions, it happens at the start of the round, and it is something called foreshadowing. So the DM says, this terrain action is going to happen on this square. That means the heroes and the monsters can push each other around, trying to get them into that area so the bad things happen, or use that to their advantage. This is just one part of a huge range of products Triglav are working on at the moment. So if you like the sound of this, go check out their backer kit, link in the description and in the pinned comment, and there will be so much more cool stuff for you to check out. Now on with the video. The cause. The first cause I see is I think sometimes the players don't have the energy to solve the massive problems we're giving them. Sometimes as directors, we want to do these really big, complex, long-term plots, and it can just get really overwhelming for the players. They can get completely bogged down in the source, as it were. And for the players, it can just be really overwhelming. They can get easily bogged down in everything that's going on. This happens a lot in D&D's giant adventures, but I think it can happen in draw steel homebrew games as well. The second problem I see is I think sometimes as directors, we can get stuck thinking we have to do something that nobody at the table wants to do. I've had it happen as a player and a director. Sometimes we just get stuck trying to figure out what we're meant to be doing, and the adventure never really starts. It's a really weird place to be in. 3, I think sometimes we forget to end things. Learning how to spin an adventure on kind of indefinitely is the first skill we learn. You know, the key inside a box, which unlocks another box, which opens a key to the locked door of the Mountain of Doom. That's not that easy when you're new. It can be actually quite hard. But because as directors we do it all of the time, all throughout play, it becomes kind of second nature to us. Like, I could do that in my sleep, no issue. But ending things, trying to work out how the story can end satisfactorily so everyone at the table is happy, not just killing off all the characters who aren't useful anymore, just figuring out a satisfying ending for all of these different plot lines we've been setting up for months. That's really hard. And it's a skill that we don't practice much as directors. A lot of our thought goes to prepping new ideas for coming up with villains. It's a lot harder to just end things, to allow the story to end. It's always just way easier to have there be another bad guy who is commanding this one, instead of explaining that villain's motives or their plans or their goals. Quickly, before I tell you about how a business book from 2007 solved this issue for me, I know, a bit weird, right? Could you do me a favor? I don't know if you've ever heard before, I don't think many YouTubers mention this, but down below there's this button, it's called a like button. If you press it, it will help other directors find this video. I don't know, it's a bit a newfangled technology. The answers. Recently for the channel, I listened to a book called The Dip. It's not a long book. I cannot say I recommend it. But to summarize, okay, the guy, he invents an idea, right? He then calls it The Dip, and he draws this lovely graph, and then the source is, trust me, bro. His idea is that anything kind of creative or hard in life follows the graph, right? You start off, when you start a new thing, you get better at it quite quickly. And then as you get more into it, you slow down and you enter the dip. Now the dip can be any length. It can be quite short. It can be very long. And the key is understanding whether you're in a dip that will lead to the good ending, where you go up the high graph over here, or if you're in a cul-de-sac. His idea is that you need to get good at quitting. You need to get good at realizing that you might be heading for a cul-de-sac and being laser focused on your actual goal. Not getting distracted trying to like brute force your way through a problem. Constantly be looking for ways to improve your process and quit and drop things. You need to focus on quitting what's not working so you can give all your energy to what is working. And I think this is a skill that directors, we really struggle with. We tend to focus on what do we need to work harder for? You know, when I see discussion online where someone says, oh, I'm really struggling to prep this session, well, we don't say, what can you cut from this session to make it better? We say, what do you want to add? What do you want to do in this session? And I think it's a subtle difference that can be really useful in some situations. For example, the results. For the first one, the players being stuck or overwhelmed, I think it can be easy to forget that sometimes the players just need a pep talk. They, as much as you, need to know about the dip. They need to know that their game is going to feel really good at the start, then it might get a little bit more boring in the middle before we get to a really cool conclusion. I think often groups just need a pep talk, just people chatting to each other, sharing their ideas, working together, and being kind of connected and being on the same page. So I've got a better idea. You show this to your players at your next session if you're feeling like you're in the dip, and this might help you out. Hi, my viewers, players. Nice to meet you. I'm here to tell you, on behalf of your director, that you're in a dip. Your game is probably a little boring right now. The 15th session of fighting goblins is getting a little old. I understand, we've all been there. You might be feeling a little bit stuck and overwhelmed, but your director has told me to tell you that you're really close to a good bit. I know that it has been boring, and I know that this plot, this grand conspiracy has been building slowly and slowly and slowly, and it's probably so confusing. But you are right there. Just give it a few more sessions. Give it your A game. I believe in you. And if your DM is like, if you're a little bit bored, if things feel overwhelming, try chatting to your DM. It might be that the reason you haven't figured out their puzzle yet is just because they forgot to tell you a piece of information. It's happened to the best of us. Oh, also subscribe to Frederica Teva on YouTube. I hope that helped you. I hope your session is good. On the second one, directors getting stuck doing things we kind of don't have to do. You know that you're in charge of the story, right? Like, you can just stop doing it. If you're not enjoying something, even if it's a pre-written adventure, you can just skip it. I don't know how to say it any other way. Recently, I was running for a group who were doing some boat travel. And I had this whole planned out arc over 6 sessions where these different things were going to happen. But by part 3 of this boat journey, we were just really bored. Every part of it had taken longer than what I thought it was. Each of these little one-shots had turned into 3 sessions. And we just wanted to get on with the next adventure. What had meant to be a little interlude between adventures had become like its own thing. And it wasn't really that fun or interesting. We'd got everything out of it. We wanted it. So I just cut the final 3 segments. I just said, okay, next session, we did a little roundup of the journey. And I said, next session, you're going to arrive at your destination. And yeah, maybe there would have been some cool drama in the final boat part of the boat travel and the overland travel that would have gotten there, but none of my players have complained. In fact, they were all super excited. They'd signed up to go on this big quest, and they really wanted to. My point here is that anytime you feel like you have to do something, you probably don't. You need to put a gun on the table is another way to think of it. It's like Matt Colville would say. Take this problem you're facing, this thing you feel stuck on, and instead of feeling stuck and hopeless and bored of it, take it as a challenge. How do you turn it into something interesting? And if you can't, just cut it. You're the DM, you have all the power you could ever need. There's nothing you can't write your way around. Number 3, we never end things. I think this can be the hardest. As I've mentioned before, it's often the easiest to just keep adding things, to keep coming up with new ideas, and to keep adding to the story, to go, oh, this villain was commanded by this villain that was commanded by this villain. That's really easy to do. And the opposite, trying to do an act 3 is hard. Trying to tie all of those knots together, as I've mentioned, is really difficult. But if we don't ever try to end things, we're never going to learn. We didn't learn to direct by thinking about it and trying our best to like come up with cool ideas. No, we learned to direct by running, even when it wasn't good. And we need to do the same thing now with ending. Recently, in one of my long-term campaigns, I set myself the goal of each echelon I wanted to be a clear start and end. After the first echelon of play, I made a conscious effort in level 3 to introduce no new NPCs, no new plot lines, no new stories, and let them all end naturally. The players went around and they finished what plot lines they could, and they fixed the problems they created by the choices they'd made earlier on. They negotiated with people, they worked with people, and they were able to solve everything. And it was so cathartic because they actually got an ending. We actually kept playing afterwards. We did downtime, we did one-on-one stuff for a little bit, but one of the players, he knew his life was changing. He was moving back to his hometown and he wasn't going to have time to play. So we made sure to make his downtime stuff able to finish off his story arc, as it were. It was able to end his character's story, and the players grouped back up together to save his city and save his family. And then that player was able to bow out of the game without having to leave halfway through, never knowing how it ended. No, for them, their story is over. There doesn't need to be another chapter. There doesn't need to be more stories. That was a lot of info, a lot of spoken word. So I've made a little something to help. There's a little checklist you can go through when you feel like your campaign's in a dip. You can find it on my Patreon. There's a link in the description as well. So yeah, again, thank you for Triglav Games for sponsoring the video. It's their second one they've done. Thank you. There was this YouTuber called, I think it was Matty, I'm seeing written on my notes, Matty Calvile? Matty Calvile? I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. It seemed like some small channel, so I'm just, thank you very much for shouting me out. I really appreciate it, and all the new people who've come in because of that. And thank you for 999 subscribers, the clearly better number. I'm running a Q&A in the Discord and on the YouTube community tab. But if you've got any questions for that, leave it in the comments below. They'll all get answered on the Discord. Probably the day after this video goes up. It was originally going to be the day this video goes up, but I'm a little bit delayed because of being on holiday. If you enjoyed this one, but you're still feeling a little bit stuck, how about you check out this video about the DM stack and how it's probably holding your prep back. And if that one doesn't sound like you, the YouTube algorithm is probably smarter than me, so the other one is something they think that you'll like.